Hello, my name is Zaena Sheehan and I'm the winner of the 2021 AKO Curatorial Award. The title of the exhibition is Escape from Reason, Nordic Art and the Occulture. As this title suggests, what the exhibition seeks to do is to look at how artists have sought to build a bridge between the physical and the spiritual world, looking at alternative sources such as myths, legends, the unconscious and the occult. The occult is a Latin word for hidden, and it describes the magical or invisible forces that animate the world around us. And I think what each artist in this exhibition is ultimately seeking to do is to uncover this sense of mystery in the everyday. Indeed, we might even say that works of art offer a unique means of looking at the world around us with a fresh perspective. They offer a window onto another way of seeing and being, and indeed, a means to escape from reason. In this exhibition, occulture is defined as an ever-changing and ongoing social and philosophical process. And what we've tried to do is to look and think about what spirituality might mean for different people and at different moments. So the exhibition is divided into 4 themes, the first of which is called perception and embodiment. And this section really looks at how occulture is rooted in everyday experience through how we sense ourselves in the environment. I think the work of the Norwegian painter Anna Eva Bergman is a really great example of this. Bergman's work was inspired by the Norwegian landscapes of her childhood, but she also collected many photographs of different surroundings as she travelled. So throughout her life and work, Bergman drew inspiration from her surroundings, but she doesn't offer us a direct representation. Instead, it's more about conveying the feeling or the atmosphere of a landscape through raw materials and simple forms. Bergman described her process as an art of abstracting, rather than simply abstract art. And what I take this to mean is that her work was an attempt to distill nature to its fundamental forms or archetypes. In this painting, falaise, which means cliff, figure and ground are slowly dissolving, and what we're left with is a sense of wonder or transience, rather than a fixed representation. The second section is titled Guardians and Community, and what the artists in this section are seeking to do is not only build bridges between the physical and the spiritual world, but also to reinforce connections with one another. Again, I think that the work of the Norwegian painter Arne Gunnerud is a really fantastic example of this. Gunnerud was part of a group of artists working in Oslo under Nazi occupation, and his work began to explore social themes such as conflict and protest. However, Gunnerud believed that art could offer an escape in this repressive atmosphere, and he thought that his work might provide some sense of hope for others. In thinking about Gunnerud's work, it's important to remember that artists' search for different ways of looking at the world often arose from political or pressing social concerns, and I think this really raises some very pertinent questions for us today. The third section is entitled Dreams and the Unconscious. I think this section really highlights the strength of Nordic artists' contribution to the international surrealist movement. I'd like to focus here for a moment on the work of Siri Ratzman, who's quite a new acquisition to the Tangen collection. Ratzman was a Swedish artist who travelled to Paris as a student and trained under important artists such as Raoul Dufy and the Mexican muralist Diego Rivera. However, she began to mix in surrealist circles, and her work incorporated techniques such as automatism as a means to explore the unconscious. I think it's interesting to consider how Ratzman's involvement in surrealism might have influenced her work, and also might have provided her with a means of working through personal anxieties during times of conflict. For indeed, Ratzman travelled to Vichy, France to work as a journalist and report on the persecution of Jews under the Nazi regime. Unfortunately, like many other foreign workers, she was expelled by the regime and returned to her native Sweden, but was awarded the French Légion d'honneur for her services to journalism in the years following the war. Also included in this section is a selection of journals by the important Danish avant-garde group Linjen. As the name of this group suggests, what they sought to do was create a uniting line through the arts in Denmark. Their work combined different styles such as concrete art and symbolism and surrealism, and their exhibitions featured artists included in this exhibition, such as Willem Bjerke Pedersen and Sonja Furlov-Mankoba. By including these journals in the exhibition, I really wanted to highlight the means and the networks through which ideas surrounding the occult come to be important in both the lives of individuals and artistic communities. The final section is entitled Enchanted Visions, and here we explore how abstraction has provided artists with a means to communicate aspects of their lived experience that can't be expressed through words or pre-existing forms. Indeed, abstraction has provided artists with an outlet to explore this higher realm of being or transcendence, notions which were greatly important to the work of Swedish artist Nell Walden. Walden worked primarily in Germany for the majority of her career, but was mixing in circles with expressionist artists such as Paul Klee, as well as the Russian artist Vasily Kandinsky, and participated in the avant-garde movement Durström as both an artist and a collector. Walden's own practice consisted mainly of abstract experiments in form and colour, such as this work in pastel, which I think demonstrates quite a fluid approach to perception. Walden was also a prolific author and worked under the pseudonym of Marja Enid. In 1933, she published a collection of poems titled Under the Stars, which reflects her interest in the psychic potential of astrology. Indeed, I think this might be reflected in Walden's work as a visual artist, for much of it seems to be concerned with the notion of transcendence and the possibility of existing on another plane of being. I think that the questions surrounding perception, spirituality, and community that are common to many of the artists in this exhibition raise some really salient questions for us today. Indeed, after a turbulent year and still faced with the prospect of an uncertain future, many of us may identify with this desire to think and look more deeply at the world around us, and indeed might also cause us to reflect on how creativity might inspire different forms of knowledge. Common to each artist in this exhibition is a desire not simply to take the world at face value. Urging us to question our surroundings, they propose an enchanted vision of modern life. Working with both the Tangen collection and the Sørlandets Kunstmuseum has been a really rewarding experience. As a young curator, working with this fantastic collection and in this supportive environment has been really important in thinking about the development of my own practice. Thank you so much for watching and listening, and I really hope you enjoy the exhibition.